Perfect. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone to yet another wonderful rendition of our COVID-19 financial workshops that we provide here at Fair Credit Foundation. I will be your MC today. My name is Talon, and super excited to be here with you. And as we get started, just wanted to introduce ourselves a little bit, some of our services, and then get into a few housekeeping things before we turn our time over to our wonderful guest today. So Fair Credit, who are we? We are a nonprofit organization that specializes in helping individuals and families to empower them to be financially independent, to improve their financial well-being, and provide resources that will enable them to be financially stable and achieve that financial well-being. We do that through a number of our services. First, starting off with our financial coaching, which is a free service that we offer, and our contact information will be provided at the end. But if you would like to meet with us one-on-one to get help with your specific financial situation, I'm more than happy and willing to do that with you. We have a few other programs that might better serve your needs, one of which is our debt management program. This is a fee-based program that can help you with your unsecured debts. So if you're struggling to, keep up with some of the different bills and things like that, we can take a look to see what we can't do to help manage that. We have our IDA program, which is a match savings program that enables savers to be able to put money away, and we'll match it currently 2-to-1 to be able to help you save towards getting into a home, go to school, or start a small business. So if any of those are up in your wheelhouse, give us a call about that program. We provide other workshops and classes that might fancy your taste, and so you can always find out the upcoming workshops and classes by visiting our website at faircredit.org. And then lastly, wanted to touch on our payday loan help program, which is our Credit Gazelle program. And this enables you to refinance some of those payday loans that seem to be dragging you down. And so contact us for more details about that, because terms and conditions do apply. But folks, why don't we go ahead and just get some housekeeping items out of the way. We are recording this, so if you want to be sure to keep yourself mute, and there will be a time to ask questions, and so hold your questions till that time. But we want to again welcome you to our workshop today, and so want to introduce our guest today. We have Susan Cannon with us, and she will be talking to us about our special topic today, which is preparing for school, paying for school and getting some help there, some of the different services and things that might be out there. So wanted to turn the time over to Susan. And again, welcome, Susan. Thank you for taking time to be with us today.
Thank you.
And let me go ahead and get your slides up and running. And the floor is all yours.
All right, so I'll just let you know when I'm ready for the next page, if that's all right.
That's perfect.
All right, great. Thanks everyone for joining either now or later. I am Susan Cannon. I'm a director at Sallie Mae Bank. I have worked in commercial finance for most of my career, but also in vendor management, where I manage the financial requirements for some of our vendors at Sallie Mae. Go ahead and turn to the first page, please, which is actually page 2. So today we're going to talk about, no, go up one page, sorry. Today we're going to talk about the aspects you need to know in order to fund your college education. Hopefully college is something that you're interested in doing, but it doesn't come without some time and effort on your part. So today, first, we'll talk about great reasons to go to college. Secondly, how to prepare. Third, the cost, which can be staggering. Fourth, how to pay for college. And then finally, how to get more information about paying for college. Next slide, please. All right. So as far as reasons to go to college, here are a few that come to mind, and you've probably heard some other ones as well. Things like your parents want you to go, or you're interested in the college life experience, or you want to pursue a certain field of study, and everything in between. Go on to the next page. We're going to start out with a quiz because I love quizzes. So here's a pop quiz. I would like to know which of these are true or false. College will prepare me for an interesting career or field of study. I want to go to graduate school to become a doctor or lawyer. College is something fun to do with my friends after high school. College educated workers earn more money than those who do not complete college. And finally, college educated workers are less likely to be unemployed than those without a college degree. All right, so I can tell you those are all true. Next slide, please. All right, so here are some details on the answers. Many jobs require at least a college education, and sometimes these are high-paying jobs. If you want to be a doctor or lawyer, you're going to need a college degree and an advanced degree, really. College is something that's fun to do with your friends after high school. Sure, it can be fun and you'll make new friends, but it's also a lot of hard work. College educated workers earn more money. Yes, sometimes much more. And we're going to go over that in just a moment. College educated workers are less likely to be unemployed than those without a college degree. Yes, that's true as well. College educated workers have an unemployment rate of approximately half of what a non-college degree individual seeking work in the workforce would experience. All right, the next slide, please. Some of the things that you might learn in college that you maybe wouldn't learn otherwise would be math and writing skills, reading, computer skills. Before I could start my master's program, I had to go through a computer lab and learn the basics of the software that we were going to be using. For example, analysis and logic. You may have to take a logic class in order to graduate. Organizational skills, certainly time organization would be at the top of that because you'll be juggling many things, including possibly a part-time job or in some cases a full-time job. Relationship building and teamwork. Definitely there's a teamwork aspect to a lot of group projects that you may be involved in. And then finally, the initiative and determination. It does take a lot of determination, and honestly, sometimes it can be discouraging and you have to buoy yourself up to keep going, even when the going is rough, when your grades aren't great, or when you're tired, when things come up. So let's go to this next page. I want to share this chart with you. This is from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. So on the left-hand side, what you see is the earnings for each of the different degree types or no degree, including not even a high school diploma, all the way up to a doctoral degree. And on the right-hand side, you can see the unemployment rate. So the higher the education, the lower the unemployment. The lower the education, the higher the unemployment. And this is based on 2020 data. So it's actually fairly recent. All right, let's move on to the next page. So lower unemployment, you can see we had a bump up in 2020, and that was attributable to the COVID situation. We saw a bump, but if you look at the colors there, that puts some further information on this chart. Every category went up, every type of degree holder or non-degree holder went up in unemployment. But the least impacted was those with a bachelor's degree and higher, whereas the most impacted were those who didn't have a college education. So I hope that I've convinced you of the importance of a college degree, but if I haven't, I think there are probably at least one or two who are interested in becoming a rock star. So I actually have a little story to tell. I have a friend of our family went overseas and they started teaching English. And one of the things that happened was they had a little extra time on their hands and they decided to form a band and enter that country's equivalent to American Idol. And actually this guy did become a rock star. But the chances are, if you have 4,000 friends, only one of you is going to succeed as a rock star, which is a very small percentage. It's 2.5, it's 0.025%. So it's not even 1%. It's not even a tenth of a percent. It's 200ths of a percent chance that you may succeed as a rock star. And I know that's disappointing. And it's not to say you have to give up your music dreams entirely, but you may want to have a backup plan to go along with that. All right, on the next page, piggy bank page. When should I start preparing for college? In my opinion, it needs to begin no later than high school. So you need to qualify to take advanced placement classes because those are the ones where you can jointly qualify for college degrees or college credits, excuse me, while you're in high school. You can also attend college. I did this. I took a class, and this was years ago, but I took a class concurrently with high school. My daughter also did this, where she was taking college classes and high school at the same time. Develop your study habits, participate in extracurricular activities, earn good grades, and save your money. So the saving is a big part of it. All right, next slide, please. The one with the arrow. The year before college, and if this hasn't happened for you and you're already in college, it's not too late. If you're in a junior college like Salt Lake Community, for example, you might do that for 2 years and then transfer to a 4-year university. That's still possible, but generally the year, what I'm saying here is the year before you actually make the move to the degree granting university. These are some of the things that you'll want to do. You'll want to look at doing some research and maybe paying a visit, taking an entrance exam. And I know they're not all requiring those now, which in a way is good because not everybody is a test taker, but you may still have the ability to get really solid grades and do a great job in college. So then you would apply for admission and apply for grants, scholarships, and loans as needed. Next slide is on the university costs here in Utah. The next slide has the details on that. So you can look at the tuition by school, and I can guarantee you, since I've been doing this presentation, which was I started about 10 years ago. So about 2010, I started giving this presentation to mostly high school students. These costs have definitely risen consistently. So you can see all the different ones. The most expensive is Westminster. The best bang for your buck is probably to go to a smaller school and then transfer to a 4-year university somewhere down the line. So next slide is super important, and I want everybody to think about this. I just told you all the costs, all the benefits, but think about what is the cost of not going to college? And I'm not going to answer that because it's different for everybody, but the primary cost is that your job opportunities may be somewhat less. You may have some challenges of unemployment if the economy goes south. Right now in Utah, we have a really strong economy. As far as unemployment, it's really low, but that could change. And especially if you go to another state, other states are experiencing higher unemployment than we have. And that's been the case all along. How does the typical family pay for college? This comes from a study that my company, Sallie Mae, does every single year. It's called How America Pays for College. And as you can see, the chart, it looks like most of it comes from family. So you can see there's some parent borrowing, some parent savings, and then the rest is student income and savings and borrowing. But what's important to realize is that sometimes if there's a gap in one way, meaning there's a family gap, then there may be more in grants and scholarships for that student. But this is just aggregated data that's compiled by a research firm that we work with. All right, going on to the next page, I'm just going to talk about borrowing. That's sort of my thought of last resort as far as how you would pay for school, but we need to understand it. So what's borrowing? Borrowing means obtaining money for a specific purpose, such as to attend school. We borrow for many things. Your credit card is actually a loan, and you may borrow to purchase furniture or a home. So getting more specific, student loan borrowing. A student loan is an extension of credit, and that may not necessarily come from a bank. It may come from the federal government. You may need to have both types of loans in order to have enough money for your tuition and your expenses going to school. Student loans have to comply with the rules and regulations of the federal government, even if it's not a federal loan. And this is key, and I'm going to go over this a couple of times, but you have to apply for the loan. All of these applications are separate. So you're going to apply for every school that you want to attend. Then once you've determined your school, you'll apply for student loans. You may have to apply for several different types of student loans. There may be a federal student loan. There may be a parent loan. There may be a private student loan in the mix. And all of these must be repaid during and or after school. It just depends on the type of loan. And then almost always, you're going to have to pay what's called interest. So that's for the privilege of borrowing money, you pay it back with interest. And that interest rate depends on the rate that the lender is charging. And it can vary a lot. So pay attention to that when you see the information. Credit. What is credit? Credit is an agreement between a borrower and a lender. So sometimes you start paying next month. In most student loan scenarios, there's what's called a deferment period. So you wouldn't start paying until you graduate from college with your degree or you leave school. And that's where the danger comes in, is people who borrow for their freshman year, but they never go their sophomore year. You're going to have to pay your freshman year back starting probably 6 to 9 months after that year ends if you don't go back to school. Let's move on to the next slide. So here's the complexity. Borrowing is not free. As I said, it must be paid back. It's a cost of credit. It's a cost to you. And keep this in mind. It's a tax on your earnings in the future to have to pay the interest, but there is a cost benefit. So the cost of going to school is the cost of your student loan plus all of the interest and your time to go. But the benefit is that you probably will be in a better position financially down the road. There are different kinds of interest rates, either variable, where it may change, or fixed, where it's the same throughout the loan term. And the other costs you'll see on the form include late fees, loan fees, like a loan origination fee. So as the money is being offered to you or dispersed to you, you're paying, out of that comes a loan fee. And then there may be other charges. It depends on the lender. The annual percentage rate is the cost of the loan over a single year. An interesting example. So if you have a $5,000 student loan and it has an APR, meaning annual percentage rate of 250, the interest on that is going to be 250 for the first year alone. So look at student loans, you're going to end up with interest owing at graduation of $1,000. So you may have borrowed 5,000, but you're going to end up owing 6,000. And I don't have this with me now, but an interesting calculator that you can explore sometime is a loan calculator. You can put in the interest. Some people pay college on their credit cards. Some people, take out a long-term loan. It's interesting to see, no pun intended, how much interest you actually pay. It's a little bit scary, actually. So my thought is avoid the debt. So here's a little bit more information. If the rates go up, your payment is going to increase. If the rates go down, then your payment may decrease, which that would hopefully incent you to just keep your amount paying the same and get the thing paid off as quickly as possible. All right, let's turn to this gal at the desk. She looks a little distressed, and I don't blame her, and I wouldn't blame any of you for being worried about how to afford college. So it's all expensive, but it's manageable. I have a lot of what I call sneaky tips to save on college costs. So number one, while you're still in high school, would be to complete college level courses and take advanced placement classes. I testing out where possible. I did that a couple of times where I just took the final exam or something similar to the final exam. And then next, if you can do it, graduate early from high school. If you graduate in 3 years from high school and 3 years in college, that's 2 years sooner that you can be out in the workforce earning money. But the other thing is, even if you can't do that, you can start your college career as a sophomore rather than as a freshman. And I know many people who have done that. So that eliminates 1 full year of college, and based on the prices, that's going to be $10,000 to $20,000, depending if you're living on campus or living at home. Then next, the the next thing that I would recommend is get a part-time job and a paid internship. And the reason that I say that is those pave the way for you getting a better job after you're out of college. Also, military service is another way to get your college paid. One that I've seen people use a lot is to get a full-time job with an employer that offers paid tuition. And finally, the big pro tip is to live at home. I know the dorms can be very enticing, and it's fun to live off campus and be involved in setting yourself up for adult life, but you're going to set yourself up for adult life better if you don't spend $40,000 in 4 years on unnecessary expenses when your room at home is potentially still available. It may not be if your parents move or if you are unable to live at home for some reason, but that is a huge expense that you would be saving. So some more examples of how to spend is really never to incur debt. First of all, scholarships. So in 2020, the average scholarship was just under $8,000, and that doesn't require any repayment on your part. Secondarily, grants. Grants are usually afforded based on financial need. The average grant in 2020 was $6,000. Federal student loans, those may have to be repaid in some instances, though, depending on the career you choose. You may be able to work for a few years and then have your loan forgiven. It just depends. Private student loans, these must be repaid, and you can apply at several lenders and work it out so that you get the best interest rate. In the box on the left, you'll see there's a warning, and this is because I've seen this happen. People need to apply separately for everything you do. So you're applying separately for admission to the college, for financial aid, for scholarships. They may or may not be offered by the institution where you ultimately go to school. And then finally, all of the loans, the federal loans and the private loans. Everything is a separate application. So please keep that in mind so that you're not fooled at the last minute where you think, oh, I'm ready to go to school, and you don't have the resources to get that done. So now I just like to do kind of shift gears and show you a couple videos. These are videos that were produced by high school students. And the first one is called Saving My Clams.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
Okay, you're fine.
Yeah. I just got off work on my payday. Should I spend my money on my lady? Nah, not today. I'm gonna stash it away. I'm put it in the bank if you hear what I say. Hey.
He's wealthy, cause he saved his money. He's got a bunch of dough, and it ain't even funny. I'ma tell her that you know his name. If you wanna be like him, step up your game.
I'm the wealthiest fella up in this place. I got so much cash, please give me some space. My dough is overflowing in my bank account. Saving up my money is what it's all about.
He's wealthy, cause he saved his money. He's got a bunch of dough, and it ain't even funny. I'ma tell her that you know his name. If you wanna be like him, step up your game.
Break it down now. I'm a high roller, cause I save my clams. The ladies be drooling for this dough in my hands. If you ask me how I got here today, oh, you know that I have this to say.
He's wealthy, cause he saved his money. He's got a bunch of dough, and it ain't even funny. step up your game.
And this next video is the story of a kid who gets money and spends it, and his brother who gets money and saves it. It's kind of cute.
One ice cream cone, please.
One college education, please.
All right. So now we're going to go back to the presentation, but I'll just go ahead and keep moving along. Sally Mae has a lot of resources for potential college students, and actually actual college students as well. First of all, there are resources on how to plan effectively for college, how to get financial aid. There's a scholarship database. There's information about student loans, which we offer. And then there are tools for calculating the cost of going to college for you in your specific situation. So I'm going to provide a handout and you can take a look. The real short path to this is sallymae.com, all one word, sallymae.com. But I'll provide some additional information in the handout. Finally, it takes a village to get to college, and you may want to look into a couple other resources. There are high school counselors who would have information for you. In fact, Sally Mae puts on a scholarship program every year, and it's actually routed through high school counselors. So they're the first people to find out about it, and they nominate some students from each school to be considered for Sally Mae scholarships. Also, there are college websites. Those tend to be a good place to find out about college funding. University admissions offices, financial aid offices, and banks have student loan departments, including my bank, Sally Mae. And then college guides such as Peterson's guide would have information about paying for college and for planning, just so that you can be strategic about it. Anything in life, you have to be strategic, and going to college is no exception. So that is my wrap up for you. I appreciate everyone's time and interest, and I'll be happy to stay on as long as there are any questions.
Great. Thank you, Susan. I'll kick us off with the questions, actually.
Okay.
So I have a brother, and he just graduated from high school and is already accepted to Dixie State.
Right.
And and so may not qualify for any sorts of grants and things like that. But you mentioned going to the Sally Mae website as a good resource for scholarships.
Mhm.
What other options for scholarships might be out there for him that I could direct him to?
Well, I know it sounds cliche, and we get this response a lot in life, but it wouldn't surprise me if you were to Google scholarships and put in the name of the university or college, that you would be directed to numerous websites to find information about college. But he could also contact the school directly and get information that they would have about the scholarships. And you would be surprised how unique sometimes they are. They're not always based on academics. Some are based on sports. We all know that sports scholarships are available, but band would be another example if he's musically inclined, or choir. Is he by chance graduating early?
He isn't.
Okay. So just for those graduating early, Utah does have a scholarship. So that's one you might want to pursue, but I would contact the school first and foremost.
Gotcha. Just their financial aid department.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yeah, I would contact the school and see what information they have. They probably have websites that they like for the scholarships that are going to be most frequently awarded to students at that school. And then, Sally Mae is more generic, so it's gonna be very comprehensive and include a lot of scholarships, but there would be you would have to do a search based on your targeted information. So where did you say he's going? Down to Dixie State, and that's
Correct.
located in
St. George. Mm-hmm.
Depending on his interest, he may want to see which employers down there offer tuition reimbursement, is what it's called. So even sometimes part-time jobs will offer tuition reimbursement.
That's a great suggestion. I'll thank you. Pass that along to him.
That's when I see people. I actually managed a team at a previous position, and one day one of my employees walked in and just said he wanted to go to college, and this was after years of working and pushing back on having college. He just didn't want to go, and he said, I want to go to college. I want to get a degree because I want to be able to do what you do. And he made it happen, and it was all paid for by the employer. He didn't pay for any of it, not even the books. So I think, especially for bachelor's degrees, employers are willing to do it. They may be less generous with a graduate program like an MBA or a law degree or something like that, but definitely with a an employer covering the undergraduate degree, that's very, very common nowadays. And you can search.
Great tip.
So look in Indeed.com or one of the other employers' search engines and look under tuition reimbursement and see whether that's a benefit for the place that you want to apply. Right now, we have fairly low unemployment. It's fairly competitive for the employers to attract good employees. And if you have a strong work history, even if you're what I would call a non-traditional student, it may be possible for you to get a job at a place where the tuition would be paid or partially paid. And that's like huge. That's money that you don't have to pay back. And just the example that we went over before, in 4 years' time, on $5,000, you're going to rack up $1,000 interest bill. So to pay back $1,000 isn't just earning $1,000, because you've got to earn enough money to pay all the taxes on it and their Social Security. So it's definitely worth it to have that tuition reimbursement program if you can find one. Find a good employer with a job that you like.
Perfect. There's a question in the chat that says, can you use student loans at trade schools?
It depends. Some student loans, yes. Many actually, yes. Some no. And that would be a matter of reading the application to see what types of schools are eligible. I know that Sally Mae has programs for trade schools, and some student lenders have programs for beauty school or for going to be a plumber, going to school to become a plumber, everything in between. So, and I support trade schools. I do have a college degree and a master's degree, but I'll tell you, there are some good trades out there where the compensation, the hours, and the working conditions are very good. And sometimes you can even set your own schedule, such as like a beautician, if you have small children and you want to limit your hours to when they're in school, you might be able to work that out with a cosmetology degree, whereas with some other full-time degrees, it may not be as possible. Everyone's situation depends.
That makes sense. Sorry, my audio was bugging out. That makes sense. Check with the individual trade schools. So perfect. What other questions do you folks have for Susan today?
Well, while they're thinking about questions, I'll just maybe tell you a little bit about me. I was a non-traditional student for my master's degree. For my bachelor's degree, I went right out of high school and got a degree that was basically a liberal arts degree. It didn't really have any applicability to any specific profession. I did work in marketing for a couple of years. I had my own business for a couple of years. And then I decided I wanted to go back to school and get a master's in business, which I did. But at the time I was a non-traditional student. And the reason that I went back, and this is maybe something that you all would be interested in examining in your own situation, is I knew that I didn't want to be tied to either a time clock, and I didn't want to be tied to a telephone. So in other words, those are very essential business functions, but I knew with my own family situation that I didn't want to have an employer who was going to say, I expect you to be working from 8 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the evening. You get a 1 hour for lunch from 1 to 2, and that's going to be your life 50 weeks out of the year. You'll get 2 weeks vacation. Thank you very much. I didn't want that. And I also didn't want to be tied to answering the telephone all day. That is a role that some people enjoy, but in my case, I was not interested in being the receptionist so that I had to be at my desk all the time. I wanted to have a more expansive role where I was responsible for projects and I was responsible for other types of assignments. So that's why I went back to school in a very kind of nutshell sort of way. It looks like there's another question.
Yes, so it says, to clarify, the Sally Mae website has scholarships from Sally Mae and or resources from other scholarships from other organizations as well.
Other organizations as well. It's pretty comprehensive. And just a word about grants. We touched on grants just a little bit in the course of my presentation. Grants don't have to be paid back. They're usually for financial need. But if a family has multiple, like 2 or more children in school, in college, you would be surprised the amount of grant money that's available to that family to help with the students who are going to college. So usually it's based on income, but if you have 2 or more, you're going to find the grant money is more readily available.
So would you suggest to individuals just to apply on FAFSA just to see what they can qualify for?
Oh, for sure. They have to complete the FAFSA for sure. And I haven't gone into the instructions, but Sally Mae has instructions on its website on how to apply for how to complete the FAFSA.
Perfect.
Are there any other questions?
If there are questions for you, Susan, what's the best way to get a hold of you or just Sally Mae in general?
The best is to just contact the Sally Mae website for the higher level questions. If you have specific questions for me, my email address is susan.cannon@sallymae.com, and Sally Mae being all one word.
Perfect. Well, great. Susan, thank you so much for taking time with us today, and for the folks that are here with us live and those that will be watching later. Really appreciate your insight and the things that you shared today. So thank you.
Thank
Just as a plug for us at Fair Credit, you can reach us at the following: by email, by giving us a call, or visiting our website as well at faircredit.org. And just another plug, I mentioned it at the beginning, but we do have our IDA program, which is our match savings program. So if you are looking to go to school and looking to get some help paying for school, that is a good resource that we provide in helping individuals pay for college with our IDA individual development account. And so you can give us a call, visit our website to learn more information. And if you have questions, please contact us. So once again, thank you for your attendance today, and look forward to having you with us next time. So take care, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll catch you soon.
Thanks.